interface the intercom of a question of an interview. Good afternoon, man.
Hello, sir. Are you here for the interview as well?
No, I'm here for the CEO naming ceremony. The CEO just bought trees. Asking me foolish questions. Is it that interview you come for?
Sorry, I was...
Oga, please, I beg, don't face what you come here for. What is the problem that? No be interview you come for. No, I come here for CEO wey give me.
So, you both know why you are here. We need a very good painter for the renovation of our company. Eh? And I understand really well that you guys have been briefed earlier.
Yes, that's okay. That tell us.
So, Mr. Shaggy.
Yeah, number from Berger.
You go first.
Thank you for the honor, but ladies first. I said, okay, you know what? It's fine. No problem, that's a small thing. Alright. Thank you very much, Shaku Keeper, panel of judges, and my co-employers. When I enter this office, I watch the visibility. That's the arena. I see that this place needs a touching of our paint. By the time we paint it, you will see the difference. Okay, so but one now the paint I want to use is not normal paint in Nigeria. It's from China.
Excuse me.
Hey, don't worry, I know you know do it. It's the paint. That paint is the paint I use for big places. If you go to Methodist Girls, that's the school I finished from. Even when I was Methodist Girl, it's me that do it, boy. It's me, yeah. So I use it for the headquarters of my church. Different big places is the paint I use.
Mr. Martins, your turn.
Go on, Fifi.
Thank you, sir. We use Berger Premium Paints for all our projects. The advantages of Berger Premium Paints are as follows. 1. Superior durability. You don't need to repaint often. 2. High spreading rate. Small quantity of paint can cover very large areas. 3. Very distinctive finishing. And number 4. Wider color range. Hence, you can express your personality and distinctiveness using colors. We will also be executing the project using Berger Swift Painting. Berger Swift Painting is an innovative service from Berger.
Anthem, please. National anthem. Thank you. I'm reading my procedure. Please be seated. Distinguished shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, the time is now 10 a.m. and it is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the 61st Annual General Meeting of our company, which, having been properly convened with sufficient quorum as confirmed by the registrars, I now declare open. Before the business of the day, would someone please lead us in a short opening prayer? Who have you selected? Thank you very much. At this point, I'd like to make my first request of the floor. With the kind permission of the floor, I'd like to conduct the meeting sitting down. I hope I have your permission to be able to do that. Thank you very much. And the mic is... Thank you. May I invite Mrs. Neka Alochukwu to give us our Health and Safety and Environment Officer to give us a brief safety briefing, especially in this COVID times. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Berger Paints Nigeria PLC. My name is Neka, and I'll be giving you the health and safety brief for today's meeting. We are safety conscious and conduct our operations in such manner. We will expect such from you. Within these premises, there are certain hazards, and we have put in place controls to reduce them as low as reasonably practicable. Such hazards include inhalation hazards, which result to dust particles and solvent vapors, fire hazards from flammable liquids, moving vehicles such as forklifts, trucks, and private cars, slip, trips, and falls. To this, we have said that this premises is a no-smoking premises. In case of an emergency, due to the flammable liquid, in terms of fire, we have said that you should not panic and do not rush. We have fire marshals within the whole premises, but within this particular room today, your ushers will be your guide if you do hear the fire alarm. Our exits will be, as clearly stated behind you, emergency exit 1 and the second emergency exit. They will lead you safely to the fire assembly point, which is to your right as you exit this whole facility. For your convenience, you will use this emergency exit where this lady is standing, signify, and take your right. Clearly labeled, you will see the male and female convenience. Just to bring to our notice that today there is no planned drill. So if you do hear that alarm, please be guided. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Neka. Thank you. As you're all aware, due to measures put in place by the federal government of Nigeria, state governments, health authorities, and regulatory agencies to stem the spread of coronavirus pandemic in Nigeria, this AGM is not being held in the conventional manner we're used to. However, we will be in full compliance with all regulatory guidelines in that respect. I would like to now move on to introducing some of the people present for this event. I have with me on this side my board, members of the board. To my far left, I have Chief Musa Danjuma. Okay. Next to him, I have Mr. Kunle Olowokonde. On the far right, I have Mr. Raj Mantani. Next to him, I have Chief Nelson Weke. And to my immediate right is the Managing Director, Mr. Anjan Serka. Moving to the floor, due to COVID restrictions, we couldn't fit everybody in. I'll be pleased to introduce Mrs. Ogechi Ihenacho. Next to her is Mrs. Erejua Badebo. And next to her is Mr. Shegun Adenichi. Joining us remotely due to the restrictions and travel is Mrs. Aisha Umar. Thank you, and to my immediate left is your company secretary, Mr. Ayokunle Ayokun. Thank you. I report that since the last annual general meeting, there have been some changes to the board. During the year under review, Engineer Patrick Baruche retired from the board effective December 31st, 2020. The board remains appreciative of his contributions to the company for the entirety of his tenure. Whilst outside the reporting period, it is noteworthy that 3 of the current board members will be retiring at the conclusion of this meeting. They are Chief Musa Danjuma, Chief Nelson Weke, and Mr. Sanjay Datwani. They will be departing with several years of meritorious service under their belts. It has been my privilege, and for the rest of the board, to have them as colleagues. And on behalf of the board, we want to say we are deeply grateful for their hard work and wise counsel over the last few years. Additionally, the board appointed Mrs. Ogechi Henacho as a non-executive director, effective January 2nd, 2021. Mrs. Aisha Romar as an independent non-executive director, effective January 27th, 2021. Mrs. Ereju Agbadebo, independent non-executive director, effective January 27th, 2021. And Mr. Victor Olusegun Adeniji, independent non-executive director, effective February 16, 2021. The appointments of the 3 independent directors is in alignment with the provisions of the newly enacted Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and best governance practices. The board's appointment of 3 new female directors was in recognition of their exceptional qualifications more than anything else, and it was an added benefit that they increased the board's gender diversity. The appointments have thus improved the board's gender diversity ratio close to our initial target of 40% by the conclusion of the 2020 AGM. I would also like to report the appointment of a Chief Finance Officer. As part of the company's strategic drive to ensure effective financial strategies are implemented, the board appointed a Chief Finance Officer in October 2021 in the person of Mrs. Phoebe Obi. Phoebe, right? She's just right behind everybody. Mrs. Obi comes with almost 15 years of extensive local and international experience in leading strategic planning, budgeting, and corporate finance for high-growth organizations. Prior to her appointment with BPN, she worked with Messrs. KPMG Professional Services from 2009 to 2018, where she rose from senior associate to management level. I confirm that the Register of Directors' shareholding is available for inspection by members in compliance with the provisions of Section 301, subsection 8 of CAMA 2020, and that this can be examined at the Registrar's table. Before moving, okay, I've already done the introductions. I would also like to introduce the representatives of the Audit Committee. They are Mr. Chibuzo Eke, Chairman of the Committee, Mrs. Mary Shofolahan, and Mr. Taiwo Afeju. Also, we have the representatives of our external auditors, KPMG Professional Services, Mr. Adegoke Oyelami, and Mr. Akintoye Alawode. The representative of our board appraisers, Messrs. DCSL, Ms. Olanike Taiwo, and Mrs. Anne Agbo, and the representative of our registrars, Meristem registrars, Mrs. Mubo Olashoko. I would also like to recognize the presence of the representative of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Mr. Stephen Iyenagbe, and Ms. Fatima Adeniyi, who have joined us virtually. Additionally, we recognize the presence of the following distinguished shareholders' proxies who are present in the hall: Chief Timothy Adesina, Mrs. BC Bakari, Mr. Lawrence Oguntoye, and Mr. Moses Igbude. We acknowledge all of the shareholders, staff of our company, Berger business partners, members of the press, and other stakeholders who are viewing this meeting via our website and YouTube and who are unable to be physically present here. I thank you for your usual decorum at our meetings and wish to appeal to any member who wishes to ask a question or make comments, move or second a motion, to please raise their hands and the microphone will be provided or they could chew them. May I call on the Company Secretary Legal Advisor to read the notice convening this meeting. Mr. Yoka.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody. I hereby read the notice. Notice is hereby given that the 61st Annual General Meeting of Berger Nigeria PLC will be held by proxy at the company's head office at 102 Oba Akran Avenue, Ikeja, Lagos State, on Thursday, May 20, 2021, at 10 a.m. or so soon thereafter, to transact the following business. 1. Ordinary business. To receive the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2020, together with the reports of the directors, auditors, board appraisers, and audit committee thereon. 2. To declare a dividend. 3. To elect the following directors: Mrs. Ogechi Iheanacho, B. Mrs. Erejua Gbadebo, C. Mrs. Aisha Umar, and D. Mr. Victor Olusegun Adeniji. Number 4. To re-elect the following directors retiring by rotation: A. Mr. Kunle Olowo Konde, B. Mr. Anjan Saka, C. Mr. Abi Aida. Number 5. To authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. Number 6. To disclose the remuneration of the managers of the company. Number 7. To elect members of the audit committee. Special business. To approve retirement benefits of our retiring directors. Notes to the notice on compliance with COVID-19 related directives and guidelines. The federal government of Nigeria, state governments, health authorities, and regulatory agencies have issued some guidelines and directives aimed at curbing the spread of coronavirus pandemic in Nigeria. Particularly, the Lagos State government, via the Lagos State Infectious Diseases Regulations 2020, has prohibited large gatherings at any events, and the Corporate Affairs Commission issued guidelines on holding AGM of public companies by proxy. The convening and conduct of this AGM is thus being done in compliance with these guidelines. Proxies. A member of the company is entitled to attend and vote at the meeting. A member of the company entitled to attend and vote at the meeting is entitled to appoint a proxy in his stead. Accordingly, members entitled to attend and vote at this meeting can only vote through proxies. In this regard, any member entitled to attend is advised to appoint a proxy to attend and vote in his stead from any of the following persons: 1. Mr. Abi Aida. 2. Mr. Kunle Olowo Konde. 3. Chief Timothy Adesina. 4. Mrs. B.C. Bakari. 5. Sir Sonny Wosu. 6. Mr. Lawrence Oguntoye. A proxy form is attached to the annual report and accounts, and it may be downloaded on the company's website. All instruments of proxy should be completed and deposited at the office of the company registrars, Maritime Registrars and Probate Services Limited, at 213 about Macaulay Way, Adekunle Yaba, Lagos State, or via email to info@maritimeregistrars.com, not later than 48 hours before the time of holding the meeting. The company has made arrangements at its cost for the stamping of the duly completed and signed proxy forms submitted to the company's registrars within the stipulated time. Live streaming of the meeting. Shareholders will also be able to participate electronically through the company's YouTube channel, where the meeting shall be streamed live and comments noted. The link for the live streaming will be made available on the company's website. Closure of register of members and transfer books. In line with Section 114 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, the register of members and transfer books of the company will be closed from May 3 to May 7, 2021, both days inclusive, for the purpose of updating the register of members. Proposed dividend and payment date. The board of directors of the company are recommending a dividend of 40 kobo per share, payable less withholding tax. If approved at this meeting, the dividend will be paid electronically on May 21st, 2021 to shareholders whose names appear on the register of members as at April 30, 2021, and who have completed the e-dividend registration and mandated the registrars to pay their dividends directly to their bank. Shareholders are thus advised to forward particulars of their account details to the registrars to enable direct credit of their dividends on the same day. Unclaimed share certificates and dividend warrants. Shareholders are hereby informed that the number of share certificates and dividend warrants have been returned to the registrars as unclaimed. Any shareholder affected by this notice is advised to contact the company's registrars, Maritime Registrars, at 213 about Macaulay Way, Adekunle Yaba, for resolution. On e-dividend, shareholders are kindly requested to update their records and advise the registrars of their updated records and relevant bank accounts for payments of their dividend. Detachable forms in respect of mandate for e-dividend payments and shareholder data update are attached to the annual report for convenience. The forms can also be downloaded from Maritime Registrars and Investor Services website at www.maritimeregistrars.com. The duly completed forms should be delivered to Maritime Registrars and Investor Services at 213 about Macaulay Way, Yaba, Lagos. Nominations to the Statutory Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 404, subsection 6 of CAMA 2020, any member may nominate a shareholder as a member of the Statutory Audit Committee by giving notice in writing of such nomination along with the nominee's resume to the Company Secretary, legal advisor at least 21 days before the AGM. On election of directors, Mrs. Ogechi Ihenacho was appointed a non-executive director effective January 2, 2021. Mrs. Aisha Umar and Mrs. Erejo Agbadebo were appointed independent non-executive directors effective January 27, 2021, while Mr. Victor Olusegun Adenji was appointed as an independent non-executive director effective February 16, 2021. All the foregoing appointments were made subject to shareholders' approval at this meeting. On retirement and re-election of directors, Chief Danjuma, Chief Musa Danjuma, Chief Nelson Nweke, and Mr. Sanjay Datwani are all retiring effectively on May 21, 2021, and they will not be standing for re-election. Engineer Patrick Buruche had retired from the board effective December 31, 2020. In line with Section 285 of CAMA, Mr. Pule Olokonde and Jensaka and Mr. Abiyaida are all retiring by rotation at this meeting. The retiring directors being eligible are offering themselves for re-election as directors at this AGM. On electronic annual report, the electronic version of the annual report will be available online for viewing and download from the company's website at www.bergerpaintsnig.com. Shareholders who have provided their email addresses to the registrar will receive the electronic version of the annual report via email. Furthermore, shareholders who are interested in viewing the electronic version of the annual reports should request via email to info@meritemregistrars.com or customercare@bergerpaintsnig.com. On the rights of securities holders, shareholders have a right to ask questions not only at this meeting, but also in writing prior to the meeting, and such written questions should be submitted to the Company Secretary, legal advisor on or before May 14, 2021. On profile of directors, the profile of all directors are available for viewing on the company's website at www.bergerpaintsnig.com. Dated this 26th day of March 2021 by order of the board. Ayokunle Ayoko. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Dear shareholders, my statement is contained in page 14 of the annual report. I will now read the statement, or with your kind permission, it can be taken as read. Thank you very much. I now call on the representative of the company's external auditors, KPMG Professional Services, to present their report on the financial statements for the year ended December 2020, which has been included in the annual report and accounts. It is on page 60 of the annual report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, everyone. The auditor's report is on pages 60 to 62 of the annual report. Distinguished shareholders, I crave your indulgence to actually take an abridged version of the report. All right, thank you very much. So, independent auditor's report to the shareholders of Berger Paints Nigeria PLC, reports on the audit of the financial statements. Opinion. We have audited the financial statement of Berger Paints Nigeria PLC, the company which comprises a statement of financial position as at 31st December 2020, the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, statement of cash flow for the year then ended, and the notes comprising significant accounting policy and other explanatory information. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statement gives a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at 31st December 2020 and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards and in the manner required by the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011. I take us to the last page of the opinion. Reports on other legal and regulatory requirements, compliance with the requirements of Schedule 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, We have obtained all the information and explanation which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. In our opinion, proper books of accounts have been kept by the company so far as appears from our examination of those books. The company's statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account. Signed by myself, Adegoke Ilami, on behalf of KPMG. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I will now call on the chairman of the audit committee to present the report of the audit committee, which has been included in page 58 of the annual report and accounts. Mr. Chibuzo Eke, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, regulatory authorities here present, fellow distinguished shareholders. I want to say good morning again. Our report, like as chairman said, is on page 58. I read, report of the audit committee. In compliance with the provision of section 404, subsection 4 of the Company and Allied Matters Act 2020 Act, we, the members of the Audit Committee of Berger Paint Nigerian PLC, having carried out our statutory function under the Act, hereby report that 1. Both the external and internal audit programs for the year ended 31st December 2020 were adequate in our opinion. 2. The accounting and reporting policies of the company conform to statutory requirements and agreed ethical practices. 3. The statement of internal control were constantly and effectively monitored. 4. Having reviewed the external auditor's findings and recommendations on management matters, we are satisfied with management response thereon. Finally, we acknowledge the cooperation of management in the conduct of these duties. The members of the audit committee for the year 2020 financial year were my very self, A.K. Chibuzo Emmanuel, Mrs. Mary Joke Shefalaha, Mr. Taiwo Afiju, Chief Nelson Meke, Chief Musa Danjuma, Engineer Bruche, retired. The company secretary, legal advisor, Mr. Ayokunle Ayoku, served as the secretary to the committee. Signed by my very self, dated March 19, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, I'd like to call on the representative of Messrs. DCSL Professional Services, Ms. Olanike Taiwo, to present the 2020 Board Appraisal Report. The report is on page 57 of the Annual Report and Accounts. Ms. Taiwo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, everyone. As the Chairman just mentioned, our report is on page 57 of the Annual Reports. DCSL Corporate Services Limited was engaged as independent external consultants by Berger Paints Nigeria PLC to carry out an evaluation of the performance of the Board of Directors, that of its committees, the Board Chairman, and individual directors for the year ended December 31st, 2020, in line with the provision of Principle 14.1 of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2008, as well as global best practices on corporate governance. The appraisal entailed a review of the company's corporate and statutory documents, minutes of board and committee meetings, policies, and other ancillary documents made available to us and the administration of questionnaires to directors. The objective of the review was to ascertain the extent of compliance with corporate governance principles and the performance of the board in general. The company's corporate governance structures, policies, and processes were benchmarked against the provisions of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018, Securities and Exchange Commission Corporate Governance Guidelines 2021, the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, and international best practices. The evaluation covered the following 7 key governance themes: board structure and composition, strategy and planning, board operations and effectiveness, measuring and monitoring of performance, risk management and compliance, corporate citizenship, and transparency and disclosure. The board has the responsibility for putting in place adequate corporate governance structures and practices and approving policies that will ensure that the company carries on its business in accordance with its memorandum and articles of association, as well as in conformity with applicable laws, codes, regulations to guarantee sustainability. At the conclusion of the evaluation exercise, we confirm that the board substantially complied with the provisions of the SEC Code of Corporate Governance Guidelines and the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, and that the activities of the board and the company are to a very large extent in compliance with corporate governance best practice. In our opinion, the board and individual directors have displayed laudable commitment to enhancing the company's growth, developing and monitoring corporate strategy to achieve sustainable growth. The commendable attendance recorded by directors at board and committee meetings during the period under review is a clear indication of the dedication and genuine interest of the board in the company's affairs and overall success of the company. Details of our key findings and recommendations are contained in the detailed report. The report is signed on behalf of DCSL by our Managing Director, BC Adeyemi. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Distinguished shareholders, we have now come to the main business of the meeting. Please note that in line with the guidelines for convening this meeting, voting for all resolutions, except the resolution for the Statutory Audit Committee elections, shall be by poll in line with sections 248 to 254 of CAMA 2020. The first item on the agenda is to receive the audited financial statements of the company for the year ended December 31st, 2020, and the reports of the directors, auditors, external consultants on the board appraisal and audit committee thereon. The reports and accounts have been circulated to all members in compliance with statutory requirements. Pursuant to the provisions of CAMA 2020, I hereby lay before you, on behalf of the Board of Directors, the company's audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2020, together with the aforementioned reports. And now I'd like to call for your questions and comments on the reports, which I hereby welcome. I'd like to start with Mrs. Bakari, please. Yes. You don't want to go? You can go from there so that we can make eye contact.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, regulatory authorities here present, and able registrars, my co-shareholders, good morning. My name is Mrs. Bisi Bakari, the National Coordinator of Pragmatic Shareholders Association of Nigeria. First and foremost, Mr. Chairman, I want to start my comment by commending our able Company Secretary, Mr. Ayonkule Ayoko, for the level of disclosures in this annual report is highly commendable, Mr. Chairman. This is the first time I'm seeing this type of disclosures in any annual report so far. So, Mr. Ayokule Ayobo, you are highly commendable. And your team also. Having said that, I will go straight to page 85 of the annual report and accounts. Note 5A 2, Roman number 2. That is on revenue. There was a huge drop in revenue from leases of investment property from 29.6 million in the previous year to 3.1 million. Revenue from leases of investment property from 29.6 million in the previous year to 3.1 million. Mr. Chairman, will you please explain the reason behind this huge difference? Still on the same page, 85, I would like to ask that what is our company's policy? I would like to ask that what is our company's policy towards discounts and rebates, as it can be subjected to abuse in absence of no policy and monitoring. If you look at this on page 85, you will see that in 2019 it was 658 million against 700 million in 2020. Page 86, note 7. 86, note 7 on finance costs. I think, Mr. Chairman, there is need to check the rise in our finance costs from 17.993 million in 2019 to 62 million in the current year. Page 87, note 9A. Page 87, note 9A. 9A, under expenses. That is expenses second to the last expenses there. I want to ask that what has been the impact of inflation, currency devaluation, and high interest rates on raw materials and consumables? As you can see, this moved from 1.5 billion to 1.842 billion. As you can also see this on page 95, note 19. Still on the same page, Mr. Chairman, I noticed that our travel, transport, and accommodation moved from 91.1 million to still on the same page of page 87, I said I noticed that our travel, transport, and accommodation moved from 91.1 million to 103.8 million. In a COVID year that most people don't travel. During this period we are talking about, there was lockdown and so on. So why the increase? I will appreciate it if chairman or chief executive officer can throw more light on this. I also noticed on the same page of 87 that our depreciation moved from 143.4 million to 243.4 million. The notice on page, the notice on note 9B, where our depreciation of property, plant, and equipment also doubled, almost double, from 122.2 million to 222.3 million. I want Mr. Chairman also to use his office to explain why this is so. Sir, on trade receivables, I think there is need for our board and management to go for aggressive debt collection to boost our liquidity position. MD should take note of that and the management. Page 96, on trade payables, I think there is also need for us to reduce our exposures. And also, I will appreciate it if you can explain what you mean by statutory payables. Statutory payables on note 9, on note 4A, 24A, from 104 to 133 million. Page 99. Page 99, note 28, dividend payable. I want to use this opportunity to really commend the board on our dividend payments of 40 kobo. This is highly commendable. 2019, you gave us 25 kobo. Despite that, our revenue increased by just 7%. Our gross profit declined by 15%. Operating profit also reduced by 62%. Profit for the year also declined by 67%. Our dividend proposed grew by 60% from 25 kobo to 40 kobo. This is highly commendable. This is also shows that our board is a listening board. Last year, I could remember that we shareholders that were inside this hall, we complained bitterly about our dividend. So I really commend our board that our dividend increased by 60%. This is highly commendable also. But Mr. Chairman, as Oliver Twist, you know we shareholders, we are Oliver Twist. We always ask for more. So we appreciate it that God spare our life. Next year, dividend should be higher than this. In order to give my colleagues opportunity to also say something on this annual report, I want to give opportunity to them. Once again, the name is Bisi Bakari, and I wish every one of us journey mercy to our various destinations. Thank you once again for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to call on Chief Timothy Additional, if you have some comments.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, distinguished fellow shareholders. My name is Chief Timothy Adesina, the former president of Nigerian Shareholders Solidarity Association, and now the patron. I welcome you all to this meeting, and I will use this opportunity to appreciate the growth which Berger Paints has been achieving over the years. The year when we had to pick on Mr. Damsida to continue to pilot the affairs of this company, there was much fear that because the then officer was leaving, maybe the company would collapse. But we thank God that he has been able to hold the fort, and even he has grown the company even higher. Thank you very much. This could not have been possible but for the cooperation of other members of the board, staff, and management. I appreciate very much the efforts put into the affairs of this company to make it possible to grow this company by 7% in revenue in the current year, considering the impact of COVID-19, when many companies have to get locked, and there was serious lockdown. There was no business. Even the business that was being done was always being done from home. And yet, this company was able to give us the kind of dividend which they are giving us. we appreciate the fact that the declared dividend has gone to 40 kobo from 25 kobo, as earlier mentioned by my colleague that spoke first, Mrs. B.C. Bakari. I appreciate that COVID-19 pandemic has had very serious effect on this company, and that's made it possible to reduce our turnover, to reduce our gross profit by 15%, operating profit also by 62%, and also profit before income tax by 60%. We are happy that the company is growing while using the principle of while the company is growing while we are operating with a good corporate governance. The corporate governance principle which we are using has been the one which had earlier been preached by Sebastian Huxley of the United States, and which we are now holding on to. This principle was earlier used by our fathers while piloting the affairs of this company, and we are grateful now that the company is upholding this very seriously, and we have been able to make the company firm. And despite the kind of competition which we are facing in the industry, our company still remains very solid. We appreciate the fact that demand for paint and other building materials went down generally in the economy because money was not circulating the way it should circulate in this country. And despite it, we are still able to make it possible for our own business to grow. The dividend proposed of 40 kobo will be paid tomorrow, and I trust our registrars, Mrs. Medistream, that even if you want them to pay it today, it's a matter of seconds. They will just press their button and the money goes to all of us. I also use this opportunity to thank the staff, management, and the board that has been holding firm the front of this company. We also like to say that Berger Paints has been the leader in the paint industry. And the year the company was quoted in the Nigerian Stock Exchange, it was quoted at a discount. While the value of the shares was 50 kobo, because of their lateness in coming to the market, they were penalized, and the shares was sold at the price of 35 kobo. But all the same, the company did not relent, and the company has been growing from one percentage to the other to the present stage where we are. So
I also use this opportunity to thank the retiring directors who had worked assiduously to promote the image of this company. And the incoming directors, I expect, would learn from the activities of the previous directors and will not let us down. I'm hereby welcoming the new directors and wishing them all the best in their performance in the company. We are watching and we are expecting more dividends in future. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Chief. I'd now like to call on Mr. Lawrence Oguntoye, please. Thank you.
I'm standing on existing protocol. I'm Comrade Lawrence Oguntoye, the General Secretary of our Watchdog Group, which consists of 7 registered shareholder associations, all the way from Ibadan. First and foremost, I want to appreciate the effort of the board of directors in regard of these transparent annual reports. In spite of the valuation of Naira, which affected the cost of raw material, COVID-19 pandemic, NSAS, scarcity of raw material, recession, the board of directors were able to present to us a 40 kobo. That's a dividend. I want to say a big thanks to you because you have used this opportunity of a pandemic and devaluation of Naira, economy degradations, not to give all these amounts, but I want to appreciate it. It was observed that the revenue increased by 7.1%, and also the free cash flow was positive. And why the other financial indices were affected, because I understand that it was being affected by environmental factor. And I won't hesitate to appreciate the genius board and management to reposition, re-engineer, restructure, and re-strategize our business operation as against the sudden economy degradation in respect of our company's sustainability and profitability. I want to appreciate our MD. You have performed tremendously because having gone through the operation in spite of this pandemic, you are able to call attention of your crew in order to minimize the effect of COVID-19 on our business. Because last year, there was a forecast, but you could not be able to achieve that. But as an experienced MD, you quickly look into this and at the same time apply your magic. And I want to appreciate you as regard that. And also, I cannot but to thank Engineer Patrick Richie, who has retired, and want to say, and I want to appreciate his immense contribution during his time. Also to appreciate the 3 retired board of directors, that's Chief Musa Danjuma, Chief Nelson Nweke, Mr. Sanjo Dewanti. I want to appreciate them a lot. And also I want to say that they will eat the fruits of their labor. I have served that the appointment of Mrs. Ogechi, Mrs. Erejua, and Mr. Victor Olusegun, who had intrinsic value to our company, having gone through their their profile. And I could see that the board pick up the genius people who can add value. And these are the necessary people we need at this point, at this economy degradation. And I want to believe that their time, we're going to enjoy them, and it will result to profitability. Also, we would like to welcome CFO Mrs. Fabio Onyi Obi. I could see that she's a seasoned a professional. I want to welcome her to Berger Paint, and I know that at time we're going to experience profitability. I cannot but to appreciate the management for being compliant in regard of regulatory requirements and corporate governance this time. And I cannot but to commend the attendance of the Board of Directors in compliance with the Section 284 of Section 2 of CAMA 2020. I want to appreciate the board concerning that. And also, I have observed that there's a donation of 2 million plus, a very constructive one. I want to appreciate Bob, but sir, at this tense economy, I want to please appeal that your generosity should be kindly extended to less privileged. Please let them feel the impact of the assistance of Berger Paint this time around. Let them feel it. And also, I observed something that we have been recognized by Lagos State. There was a kind of presentation to our chairman, because I saw the picture, and that it has added to our value, it has added to our image. I want to say congratulations to our chairman and also the company at large. And if, I will quickly go to the question. I observed that I want to appreciate this, the transparency as regards the disclosure of unclaimed dividend on our website. But the question is, what's the outstanding balance of unclaimed dividend? 2, how have you been able to operate effectively in regard of macroeconomic challenges and devaluation of Naira? This time around, I observed that the digital marketing has been a source of profitability to most of the company at this season. How effective it is to our sustainability and development as against the COVID-19 pandemic. What is our plan? Because in chairman's, I observed that you gave an assurance that there will be turnaround in 2021, although IMF as well as forecast this. I want to ask that what is the management strategy towards it in order to achieve the better result from this? Depreciation, okay, Mrs. Berger has made mention of this depreciation. I noticed an exponential growth in our business operation, but how have we been able to operate in an intensely competitive business environment? Before I submit, I cannot but to appreciate the effective, efficient, diligent, dedicated, and accessible company secretary. That's Barrister Ayo. You have done best, and at the same time, I want to appreciate your mutual relationship towards the shareholder. Unlike most of the company, that the door of the company secretary will not be open, you make yourself available, at least for the betterment of the company. May you continue to work stronger in wisdom and understanding. On a final note, I want to appeal to the representatives of shareholders that are present here that we should please educate and at the same time to orientate our people to buy more shares. To buy more shares. I believe the iron sharpness iron, so as to enhance the efforts of the board of director in regard of the company profitability, because I believe that there is much potentiality in an investment. On behalf of Nigerian shareholder, especially the constituency which I'm representing, I want to say that we're going to give you a robust relationship so as to have an intrinsic value to our company sustainability. On this note, I want to say congratulations to the Berger Paint and at the same time, Nigerian shareholder. Thank you for the opportunity. God bless you.
Thank you very much. I would like to call on a proxy of a proxy for Soniwosu, Mr. Moses Ikrude. Thank you. Please approach the microphone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As the chairman have said, I represent Sasoni Unsu, who is not around. Chairman, the board, the regulatory authority present, staff, and my colleague, shareholder of the company. I will share my sentiment with those who have spoken before, in respect of the account, especially the Madam Mrs. Bakare, that have highlighted some of the notes and all this item, which I'm also expecting the chairman to respond to. Beth, I'm going to start my comment, first of all, to appreciate, as I've said, the board, the management, and staff. I'm so happy because last year I was here. Then you appointed the chief operating officer. And I challenge him that you have been given a great opportunity to do a great work and to make sure that the Nigerian people, that if they give them opportunity, they can execute and they can do well. Today, it's already confirmed that, again, you are bringing in another Nigerian, and a lady, as the chief financial officer. That is to say that the first person you appointed performed, and you see the reason why you must bring, you are bringing another person. Madam, you are welcome. We have given you a great opportunity. You must not fail us. You must not fail us. You must do your job diligently and make sure that we, not only you prosper, the company prosper, and we see that we have caliber of people. The reason why I'm saying this is this. Throughout a part of Africa, if you are doing a small business, no matter business, one of the challenging problems we have is not even finance, it's staff. It's staff. It's a problem. It's a major problem for some of us who are doing business. For you to have a staff, for me, 11 years, I can boast of only 3 good staff. So it's experience. Not, I'm not talking from this. That is why whenever I see Nigeria like this being put into strategic position, I always challenge them so that they can perform. Their integrity should not be in doubt. Then again, I'm going to talk, more have been talked about retiring director and incoming director. It's the same thing I'm referring. Women have been given a lot of opportunity, gender issue, balance and order. Now, the opportunity have come here. We want to see more result. We want to see you so that next time when we come here, we praise you people. That yes, when you enter, this is what have happened. Yes. Then again, number 2, I'm going to talk about generally about sustainability of our business. It's very key. You've done well, gave us 25 kobo last year, 40 kobo this year, meaning that we are expecting. We are here. At least this is the 61st annual general meeting. That is, the business have operated for over 60 years. People have done it to grow it to this point. We must not relent. We must sustain the business in the next 60 years. It's not 100 years, so that at the end of the day, we will know that what our father or our people intruded on us, we perform it. So that is why I'm going to talk of this sustainability. Now, nobody planned for COVID. It occurred, and everything was disrupted. The question is that, based on this now and the experience we are having, what are the strategies we are putting in place to make sure these challenges, which are embedded opportunity, we can sustain this business for the next 60 years. That is what the board and management have to put in place right now. Thank God, we are opening up African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Is an opportunity that is a challenge. The reason is a challenge is that in our environment as Nigeria, we have a lot of things that militating against businesses. As highlighted by the chairman's statement, called congestion, multiple taxation. Then you will see high cost of interest rate, insecurity, because there is no way you will manufacture a product. If there are war or fight anywhere, you can move it. These are the challenges that we have. But then we can, as people, make plan on how to move our product from one point to the other and exploit the West Africa or the trade agreement zone. In doing so, we will have forest, scarcity of forest can be addressed in that. So the question is that, what is our plan to exploit this African Continental Free Trade Agreement? Because if you don't do it, you will see some people, they will go to Togo, establish there, bring product, fake or whatever, and they bring it through the border. And they will what? Spoil this market for us. What are we doing in respect of faking, adulteration of products? Because that is key, because we know that if your product is moving, that is a fast-moving product is what they will fake. And you know that people, what are we doing? Continuously, it's not just once I've done one. No, you must use technology to track all these things. What our strategy in that aspect? Then again, I want to talk of page 17, which is on the regulatory compliance. One of the major problems or more challenge in Nigeria today is regulatory. A lot of regulations that require enough energy and carefulness, otherwise you will pay fine. But today, in that page, we said for the 2020 financial year, no regulatory infraction was recorded. That's, I appreciate the company secretary for doing that. And I challenge him also that he should continue to make sure that he puts those regulatory, his own team together to track all these things. Because each money that leaves here as a penalty is disservice to the company and the shareholder. So I thank you for keeping that on and making sure that, make sure that this is continued. Then finally, I want to look at page 16, the chairman's statement, where you said separation of internal control and internal audit function. Well, I want you to throw more light on this arrangement, because one of the things I know, I think the two works together, and by law, the internal control have to report to the audit committee. When control, and the work of the head of internal audit is to make sure that the control put in place are complied with, and these are reported to the audit committee. So when you separate them, how does it work? I want to know. I just want to get educated on it. And how is it the two people that are reporting to the audit committee, or there is a head that after that checking and the head will report to the audit committee? Bearing in mind that the chief internal auditor is the chief policeman on the company to make sure that all controls are complied with. Having said that, Chairman, I am happy to be here to associate with what Berger Paints. I'm happy that, as you promised, I know when you were coming with the first AGM, you came in, you made a promise that after the construction of the new factory, we'll accelerate and we'll move on. And from what I've seen, from 25 kobo to 40 kobo to 60 kobo to 1 naira and all, that is only when I will know that yes, your promise you give to us has been achieved. Thank you so much, and God bless you. The name once again is Ibru de Moses.
Thank you very much. I thank our shareholder proxies. This is obviously, you're not just speaking for your individual associations, as the case may be, you're actually speaking for all shareholders. So we appreciate the serious obligation and the way you have taken it. We'd like to respond to some of the questions that you made, and I will try to be thematic, and I'll probably ask the MD to take one or two. But some of them are interrelated, and to the best of our ability, you all have a lot of familiarity with what happened last year and what continues to go on. You understand the economic headwinds we have faced, and it made for a lot of challenging decisions that had to be made on the fly because they were unprecedented circumstances. That being said, I do know there are some key questions that you wanted to find out. For example, you wanted to find out in terms of, there was a specific question on travel, transport, and the fact that it had gone up. It's counterintuitive, but the dislocations that we suffered last year meant we were effectively trying to operate a 12-month calendar in 10.5 months. That is how much business was lost during the dislocations and the lockdowns. We took as part of our strategy that we would, as much as safely possible while looking after our people, recover what was lost. And I'm pleased to say we were able to not only do that, we were able to increase the revenue even within the limited time frame we had. That being said, we did make conscious decisions that as safely and as securely as possible, those who are in the faces of their customers will be remembered, because everybody was going through very, very difficult circumstances. And if I wanted to respond to that empirically, I would tell you that the 13 million increase in travel expenses, even though the airfares, the cost of travel, everything went up, and with limited travel, that alone, we were able to demonstrate that that brought in well over 250 million of business just from that. So it more than paid for itself in that regard. So we supported the business in every way we could, and to ensure that people were able to keep moving in that regard. There was an increase, there was a question on the increase of the depreciation payments. Obviously, as you recall, a year ago, we announced that the factory has just come on stream. Now, new property, plant, equipment brings good things to a company, but it also brings depreciation as its younger brother. And It was a significant investment. The younger brother was very robust and of stocky weight, shall we say. So it impacted our books, and there's almost a straight line correlation in that regard. So we're happy to stay on that. There was a mention on the statutory payments, and once again, a lot of things we deal with are external. So one of the things that I will say on that regard is that we looked at it from, there was an increase in VAT, as you remember, last year, from 5 to 7.5% in February. Those are what part of the statutory payments we deal with, and that was one of the issues that we had to deal with. So we were able to look at that and send that. That impacted on some of that. On the raw materials issue and the cost, I would like the MD to speak on that because it's a significant threat to the business, and it really is something that we put everything behind it to ensure this business rises and falls on those kind of external threats, and it's something that we are taking very, very seriously because, and it's not an excuse, because we believe even in the worst economic circumstances, those who are prepared and work with intention can still thrive, and we intend to be amongst those group of people, and our company be amongst those group of companies. So the MD will speak to that now. Thank you, MD.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning to all. Actually, this raw material cost and all, I would like to say the current situation so that it will clear up for your understanding. You see, because of that current COVID situation, port situation, and also the forex situation, we are facing a huge problem on getting the raw material on time and service our customers. In fact, there are certain cases where most of the competition, they are unable to supply the materials, but we are 24 hours working with our vendors so that we will get a constant supply. Not only that, you see, we experience morning the vendors gave us a price and in the evening they change the price like this. So these are the areas we are working constantly. Our team is working so that yeah. So these are the situations we have taken. The first is that if you see the port congestion is another vital area. In certain cases, we have waited for more than 3 months to get one raw material. So this is the current situations. Even the situation is not at all improved. So we are working on that day night so that we can at least we can support our customers. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, MD. I think what I'll do is I just want to re-emphasize the assurance on the board that we are fully cognizant of all the threats, both strategic and otherwise, to the business. We are very cognizant of the opportunities. We're developing strategies to be able to work towards that. And we're acutely aware of really what we need to do for the company. We have a deep understanding of this company, and we understand how to move it forward. So I just wanted to extend appreciation to the shareholders for the concern that they have showed around the company. Your thoughts and comments are welcome. As you know, we operate an open door policy, especially from my side. and I'm pleased to see that the company secretary has adopted that. I was getting a little jealous. You are just hailing me. Nobody was hailing me, but no problem. Is it not your God that allows him to? But no problem. It's our watchword. We view you as our partners. We appreciate the effort and the way you follow the company, and we're looking forward to resuming more normal activities as the case may be. We do have a lot on the agenda at this point in time. I would like to, and I'm open for conversation afterwards, or whoever wants to have that. Now move to the next item on the agenda. Yes. Having answered your questions, we now commence the moving of the resolutions. May I request that a shareholder please move the motion that the reports of the directors, auditors, board appraisers, and audit committee, together with the audited accounts for the financial year ended December 31st, 2020, now submitted to this meeting, be and are hereby received. Mrs. Bakare moves. Will another member please second the motion?
My name is Mrs. Bakare Adebisi. I so move.
Thank you. Will another member please?
Thank you. I'm Comrade Lawrence, hereby second the motion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I shall now call on the registrars to conduct the voting by poll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. So, distinguished shareholder proxies, we'll be making use of the voting device in your hands. I don't know if you have them, just raise it up. We're making use of the voting device in your hands. Precisely, we're making use of 3 buttons, 1, 2, and 3. There's a button 1/A, 2/B, 3/C. So to vote for a resolution, you press 1. So when the resolution is being read, if you're supporting that resolution, you're voting for it, you press 1. If you intend to vote against the resolution, you press 2. Then if you intend to be indifferent, you press 3. Do I take that again? We're making use of 3 buttons, 1, 2, 3, on the device. If you're voting for a resolution, you press 1. If you intend to vote against, you press 2. If you intend to be indifferent, you press 3. Thank you.
So, voting on the resolution to accept the audited financial statement starts now. If you are voting for, please press 1. If you are voting against, press 2. And if you are abstaining from voting, press 3. All right. Thank you very much. We have the results of the votes on the screen, and I'd like to read it out. Voting at this meeting are 6 shareholders present, and we have 186 shareholders represented by proxies. We have a total of 192 shareholders voting for this resolution. And 100% of the shareholders voted unanimously in favor of this resolution. There were no votes against, and there was no votes in abstention. Thank you.
I declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. Distinguished shareholders, we now move to the next item, which is the declaration of a dividend for the year ended 2020. As explained in my statement, our macroeconomic environment on a macroeconomic level, the decreasing value of the Naira significantly impacted the prices of raw materials, thereby putting more strain on the company's cost of sales. The company also had to deal with the scarcity of raw materials, partly due to the disruptions in supply chain as a result of the pandemic and also the congestion at the ports. Notwithstanding the earlier negative developments impacting the industry, your company was able to demonstrate a show of resilience in the year end, and the board is recommending for your kind approval the sum of 115,929,379 naira to be paid out as dividend. This works out at the rate of 40 kobo per share, which represents a 60% increase in dividend paid in the previous financial year. If the shareholders approve the recommendation, the dividend will be paid less withholding tax to shareholders whose names appear on our company's register of members as at the close of business on Friday, April 30th, 2021. Can a shareholder please move the motion that a dividend payment in the total sum of 115,929,379 naira, which translates to 40 kobo per each 50 kobo ordinary share of the company held, subject to withholding tax to shareholders whose names appear in our company's register of members as at the close of business on Friday, April 30th, 2021, be hereby approved.
Chairman, I so move. I'm Chief Timothy Adesina.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can somebody please second the motion?
I, Comrade Lawrence, hereby second the motion.
Thank you very much. I shall now call on the registrars to conduct the voting by poll.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As we have done previously, the resolution is before us. So if you want to vote to approve the dividend so declared, you please press 1 on your voting device. If you are voting against, you press 2. If you want to abstain from voting, you press 3. The result will be displayed once we have done that. Please let's vote now. 4, 1, against 2, abstention 3. Thank you. The result of the vote is right there on the screen for us to see. And the result is, I'd like to read it out for everyone to hear. Of the 192 shareholders voting on this resolution, 192 voted 100% in favor of the dividend declaration. We do not have any votes against this resolution. Thank you.
I declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the election of new directors. Distinguished shareholders, the following directors were appointed by the board subject to your approval at this meeting. Mrs. Ogechi Iheanacho, Non-Executive Director, effective January 2nd, 2021. Mrs. Erejo Agbadebo, Independent Non-Executive Director, effective January 27, 2021. Mrs. Aisha Rumar, Independent Non-Executive Director, effective January 27, 2021. And Mr. Victor Olusegun Adeniji, Independent Non-Executive Director, effective February 16, 2021. The appointments of these directors were done in recognition of their extensive and multi-industry experience to add to the quality of representation on the board. We shall be taking their elections individually. Given this background, can a member please move the motion that the election of Mrs. Ogechi Iheanacho as a Director of Berger Paints Nigeria PLC is hereby approved? Thank you. Sorry, thank you. You have a point of order? Oh, you're moving? Yes, please. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. Will another member please second the motion? Thank you. Thank you very much. I shall now call on the registrars to conduct the votes by poll and give us the results.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As we've done previously, we should be very used to it now. We have this resolution before us to elect Mrs. Ogechi Iheanacho as a director. So if you are voting in favor of this resolution, please press 1 on your voting device. If you are voting against it, please press 2. And if you want to abstain from voting, please press 3. All right. Thank you very much. The result of the poll is right there on the screen for us to see. 192 shareholders voting in favor of this. 192 shareholders voting on this resolution voted 100% in favor of the resolution. We don't have any dissenting votes, neither did any shareholder excuse himself from voting. Thank you.
I declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. Can a member please move the motion that the election of Mrs. Arejo Agbadebo as the Director of Berger Paints Nigeria PLC is hereby approved?
I hereby move Comrade Lawrence.
Will another member please second the motion?
I so second. I'm Chief Timothy Adesina.
Thank you very much. I shall now call on the registrars to conduct the votes by poll and give us the results.
Thank you very much. The vote is now ready to be done. Voting for, please press 1. Voting against, please press 2. If you're abstaining from voting, please press 3. Thank you. I'd like to confirm the results of the poll to elect Mrs. Arejo Agbadebo as director. 192 shareholders voting on this resolution voted unanimously in favor of the election of Mrs. Arejo Agbadebo as director. We do not have any dissenting votes, neither did any shareholder abstain from voting. Thank you.
Can a member please move the motion that the election of Mrs. Aisha Umar as the Director of Berger Paints Nigeria PLC is hereby approved?
I, Brude Moses, move the motion. Thank you.
Will another member please second the motion? Thank you. Thank you very much. I shall now call on the registrars to conduct the votes by poll and give us the results.
All right. The vote is now open. If you are voting to elect Mrs. Aisha Umar as director, please press 1 on your device. If you are voting against the resolution, please, against the motion, please press 2. And if you want to abstain from voting, please press 3. Thank you. Are we voting? Okay. Thank you. The result is right there on the screen. And I'd like to confirm the result of the poll to elect Mrs. Aisha Umar as director. 192 shareholders voting on this resolution voted unanimously in favor of the election of Mrs. Aisha Umar as director. We do not have any vote against, neither did any shareholder abstain from voting. Thank you.
I declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. Can a member please move the motion that the election of Mr. Victor Olusegun Adeniji as the Director of Berger Paints Nigeria PLC is hereby approved?
I, Comrade Lawrence, going to hereby move.
Will another member please second the motion?
I so second. I'm Chief Timothy Adesina.
Thank you very much. I shall now call on the registrars to conduct the votes by poll and give us the results.
Okay. The voting is now open. Please press 1 on your voting device if you are voting for the election of Mr. Segun Adeniji as director. And if you're voting against, please press 2. If you are abstaining from voting, please press 3. Thank you. That was very quick. The result of the poll is right there on the screen. And as we can see, 192 shareholders voting on this resolution voted 100% in favor of the election of Mr. Olusegun Adeniji as Director of Berger Paints PLC. We do not have any votes against, nor did any shareholder abstain from voting. Thank you.
I declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the re-election of retiring directors. Distinguished shareholders, the retiring directors are Mr. Kunle Oluokonde, Mr. Anjan Serka, and myself. Being eligible, Mr. Kunle Oluokonde, Mr. Anjan Serka, and myself are offering ourselves for re-election in accordance with the provisions of KAMA 2020. Can a member please move the motion that Mr. Kunle Oluokonde, who having retired by rotation, being eligible, and having offered himself for re-election, be duly re-elected?
Hello.
Thank you. Will another member please second the motion?
I second the motion.
Thank you very much. I shall now call on the registrars to conduct the votes by poll and give us the results.
Thank you very much. As we have done previously, we're going to press 1 for in favor of the resolution, and on like that. So the vote is now open to re-elect Mr. Kunle Oluokonde as Director of Berger Paints PLC. If you are for that resolution, please press 1. If you are against it, please press 2. And if you are abstaining, please press 3. Okay, thank you. So we have a unanimous vote in favor of the election of Mr. Kunle Oluokonde as Director of Berger Paints. Of the 192 shareholders voting on this resolution, 100% of them voted in favor. We do not have any votes against, nor is there anyone abstaining from voting. Thank you.
I declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. Can a member please move the motion that Mr. Anjan Serka, who having retired by rotation, being eligible and having offered himself for re-election, be duly re-elected?
I, Kamari Lawrence, go to hereby move.
Thank you. So second. Thank you. I now call on the registrars to conduct the votes by poll and give us the results.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The voting is now open. The vote is now open. As we have done previously, voting for, you press 1. Voting against, you press 2. And abstention from voting, you press 3. Thank you. I'd like to confirm the results of the election. I'd like to confirm the results of the votes to re-elect Mr. Anjan Serka as the Director of Berger Paints PLC. 192 shareholders voting on this resolution voted 100% in favor of the election of Mr. Anjan Serka. We do not have any vote against, nor anyone absenting from voting. Thank you.
Thank you. I declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. In view of the fact that I am also standing for re-election, I would like to invite Mr. Kunle Oluokonde to preside over the resolution for my re-election.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next resolution is for the re-election of Mr. Abia Yida in accordance with the Section 285 of KAMA 2020. Can a member please move the motion that Mr. Abia Yida, who having retired by rotation, being eligible and having offered himself for re-election, be duly re-elected?
I so move. Acting Chairman, Igrude Moses is the name.
Hi, Chief Timothy Adesina, so second.
All right, thank you very much. I shall now call on the registrars to conduct the vote by poll and give us the results.
Thank you, Acting Chairman. As we have done previously, please let's press on our voting devices. 1 is for, 2 is against, 3 is for abstaining from voting. Please let's cast our votes as we wish while we wait for the result. Thank you very much. I have the result on the screen. 192 shareholders voting on this resolution voted unanimously to re-elect Mr. Abia as the director of Berger Paints PLC. We do not have any votes against, nor do we have anyone abstaining from voting. Thank you.
I declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will now hand over the hot seat back to Chairman to continue with the proceedings.
I will now accept the very hot seat. Well, thank you. Excellent. Thank you so much for the vote of confidence. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, distinguished shareholders, is to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the external auditors, Messrs. KPMG Professional Services, having indicated their willingness to continue in office, are reappointed as external auditors of the company without any resolution being passed. However, it is necessary that the directors be authorized by members at this annual general meeting to fix their remuneration. Can a member please move the motion that the remuneration and expenses of the company's external auditors, Messrs. KPMG, be fixed by the directors in respect of the period ending at the end of the next annual general meeting, pursuant to Section 408, subsection 1, subsection B of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. Can a member move this motion, please?
I, Comrade Lawrence Oguntoye, hereby move.
Can another member please second the motion?
I, Moses Ibrude, also move. For this, the first time I'm seeing that they are reducing, an auditor will reduce a fee from 20 million to 18 million. You tried. Thank you.
Thank you. It's part of our strategic partnerships. They work with us, we work with them. And they're doing an excellent job for us. And the gesture is appreciated. I was going to mention, but I'm pleased that you actually mentioned it. Because sometimes people only grumble when people are always increasing. Please let us also shout when somebody makes a kind gesture in terms of their services in a time of increasing costs. It does matter. Thank you very much. I shall now call the registrar to conduct the poll.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So we're voting on the resolution now to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. So if we are voting for this resolution, please press 1 on your voting device. If you are voting against, please press 2. If you are abstaining from voting, please press 3. Thank you. The result of the poll is on the screen for our viewing, and it shows that 192 shareholders voting on this resolution voted unanimously in favor of the resolution. We do not have anyone abstaining, nor do we have any votes against. Thank you.
I declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. Sections 257 and 238 of CAMA 2020 make provision for the disclosure of the remuneration of the managers of the business. Section 257 of CAMA provides that the compensation for the managers of the business must be disclosed to members at the general meeting. The remuneration for the managers of the business for the 2020 financial year was 158,445,000 naira. No resolution is required to be taken on this item. Thank you. Section 404 of CAMA provides for the setting up of an audit committee consisting of an equal number of directors and representatives, subject to a maximum of 6 members. That has now been adjusted, and it's an unequal number between the company's representatives and representatives of shareholders. They shall jointly examine the auditor's report and make recommendations to the annual general meeting. The Board of Directors, in compliance with CAMA 2020, has chosen 2 directors, Mrs. Ogechi Iheanacho and Mr. Victor Olusegun Adeniji, as members of the Audit Committee. Section 404, subsection 6 of CAMA further stipulates that any member may nominate another shareholder as a member of the Audit Committee by giving notice of such nomination at least 21 days before the AGM. As at the close of business on April 30th, 2021, 3 valid nominations were received for election into the Audit Committee. The names of the nominees and those that nominated them have been verified with our registrars. We will now go through the process of electing the Audit Committee members for the 2021 financial year. The resolution will be by show of hands, as Section 249, subsection 3 of CAMA 2022 prohibits shareholders from demanding a poll on the election of Audit Committee members. As I call the names of the nominees, please stand up, identify yourself, and so, distinguished shareholders, your nominees for membership of the Audit Committee are Mrs. Mary Joke Shopolao, nominated by Obaride Obatosho. Yes, sir.
My observation is that since there are 3 vacancies and we have 3 valid nominations, it means the incumbents are returned unopposed.
Okay. I believe. Yes, yes, sir, but I think the AGM regulations require that we actually go through this process, much as we would love to. We recognize they're unopposed, but I think we want to make sure that they're here with us, present and observing. So perhaps if you could indulge us on this, thank you. Second nominee is Mr. Chibuzo Eke, nominated by Moses Igrude. And we have third nominee, Mr. Taiwo Afiju, nominated by Tijani Mukadam. Having listed your nominees to the Statutory Audit Committee unopposed, I will now call on a member to propose the following resolution. That pursuant to Section 404, subsection 3 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, an audit committee of the company be and is hereby appointed with effect from today, May 20th, 2021, till the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. The following are to constitute the membership of the committee. Directors, Mrs. Ogechi Iheanacho, Mr. Victor Olusegun Adeniji. For the shareholders, Mrs. Mary Joke Shopolao, Mr. Chibuzo Eke, and Mr. Taiwo Afiju. Can a member please move the motion?
Fellow shareholders, I so move. I'm Chief Timothy Adesina.
Will another member please second the motion?
Ibunde Moses, second the motion. Thank you.
I will now put the motion to the meeting. Will the proxies in favor of the motion, in addition to myself, please signify by raising their right hands? Will those against the motion please signify by raising their hand? I declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. Congratulations to the Audit Committee for 2021. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The next item is special business, and it is to approve the retirement benefits of retiring directors. Can a member please move the motion that the sum of 11,333,333 naira, 5,208,330 naira, and 3,791,663 naira be paid to Chief Musa Danjuma, Chief Nelson Weke, and Engineer Patrick Buruche, respectively, as retirement benefits, having retired from the board in line with Section 297 of CAMA 2020. Will the member please move that motion?
I, Comrade Lawrence Oguntoye, hereby move.
Will the member please second the motion?
I, Chief Timothy Adesina, I so second.
Thank you very much. I shall now call on the registrars to conduct the votes by poll and give us the results.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As we have done previously, please let's bring out our voting devices. If we are voting for this motion to approve the retirement benefits for the retiring directors, Please press 1 on your voting device to vote for this resolution. Press 2 if you are voting against, and press 3 if you want to absent yourself from voting. Thank you. The result is on the screen. We have 192 shareholders voting on this resolution, and the result of the poll shows that 100% of the shareholders voted unanimously in favor of the resolution. We do not have any shareholder absenting from voting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Distinguished shareholders, we've come to the end of the official business. Just before we depart, I wanted to make a personal statement. It's always difficult when you've been friends, colleagues, and worked with people for a long time. This is a significant AGM in that it's the final one for almost half the board. I want to pay special recognition to my colleagues. I know some of you have gotten to know them over the years. It's not easy. Chief Danjuma and I have served on this board, for example, for 21 years. So it's not beans. We know when you're happy, we know when you're sad, we know when you're angry. But they have done extraordinarily well. It's not easy, the commitment that is required. I think you saw for yourself, even last year, with all the dislocation, just how committed our members are. It's bittersweet, but I know that they are moving on to new challenges and new opportunities. And I really wanted to ask you that you join in me in giving them a send-off and a round of applause. Thank you.
He's a jolly good fellow. Good fellow. And so say all of us. And so say all of us. Hooray. And so say all of us. Hooray. For they are jolly good fellows. For they are jolly good fellows. For they are jolly good fellows. And so say all of us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, our current conditions don't allow us to do the traditional farewell, but I want to give my assurance that we will honor them in due course once some normality resumes, and we'll be sure to let you as shareholders know about that. Distinguished shareholders, as there's no other business for which due statutory notice was given, I thank you all for attending and taking part in the affairs of our company. I hereby, with great pleasure, declare the 61st Annual General Meeting of our company closed. Thank you, and we'll stand for the national anthem. I'll be there.